ever wondered why some people seem to be able to get results in rapid speed while others seem to struggle? Or have you heard people say things like it's easier to get rich fast than it is to get rich slow? And in fact, as the mentor I'm about to introduce you to has said, have you ever watched people get rich so fast or make it look so effortless? You've thought that people like, gosh, they got to be doing something illegal. So now today, I want to introduce you to somebody who I literally consume everything he puts out. He reminds me of so many of the principles that have worked in my business when I've done them right. And I want to share them with you, but I want him to share it. And then I'll make my comments and we'll actually break down on how to apply these principles about making money so fast that people think you must be doing it in an illegal way. So this is Myron Golden. Myron is known as the cat or trash man to the cash man and one of the world's best leaders at teaching people how to make money quickly by creating premium priced and amazing offers. So let me bring him on, and I'm not going away, so stick with me.
10, 12, 20 times more money than you, and ask yourself the question, how's that even possible? Well, I've wondered that. In fact, I remember a conversation I had with one of my mentors about a certain individual who's on the internet. If I named them, you would know them. And I said, how much money do you think that guy makes? And he said, oh, probably about $800,000 a month. And I thought to myself, $800,000 a month? How do you make that kind of money? And this was back in probably 2015, where I was nowhere near $800,000 a month. And what I discovered is you can turn your yearly income into your monthly income. And when you do, it's going to absolutely blow your mind. That's what I'm going to show you how to do on this video. So one of the biggest financial breakthroughs I've ever had in my life, and I promise you this is worth writing down. This was not just one of the biggest, it's one of the top 3 breakthroughs, financial breakthroughs I've ever had in my life. And it's the first one I ever had. And I remember when I had it. I had this wake up in April of 1999. And I'm sure you guys probably read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? How many of you all read Rich Dad, Poor Dad? So a lot of you have read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and when I read that book, it was like the lights came on. It was like for me, it was like the scales fell off of my eyes in the arena of wealth in a way that had never happened before.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad was written by Robert
the theme that I got,
and I agree
from
with
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like if I were to sum up that book in a sentence, I would sum it up in this sentence.
Did you know that Amazon has a $50 million?
Let me shut this down here. So while the ads are going on, it'll take 2 seconds. I'm going to skip it. I felt the same way when I went through Rich Dad.
The thing you have to do to create wealth is to focus on creating income-producing assets.
Yeah.
The reason broke people are broke is because they are their only income-producing asset.
Right.
The reason rich people are rich is because we accumulate income-producing assets. In fact, Daniel Priestley, in his book, Key Person of Influence, he says, income follows assets. So the more assets you have, the more income you have that can follow those assets. So I'm going to show you how.
Now, I'm going to pause you real quick. So if it's frustrating when you hear that and you're like, Ed, I don't have either a lot of money to put down, I don't have these things that these people already have. Well, you'll see that's even in Daniel Priestley's book. He talks about income producing assets being actual digital assets, like so content, solutions, things that people can benefit from, and that once you create them, they will work and produce cash for you all the time. Now let's watch him break this down. It's pretty powerful.
Like I discovered this principle. It's easier to make $1 million a month than it is to make $1 million a year. And I know that sounds crazy. I get it. It sounds crazy. I'm going to prove it to you though in this video. Okay. So this is, how about that? So it sounds so crazy. It's easier to make $1 million a month. It's easier to make $1 million a month than it is to make $1 million a year. It's easier to make $1 million in a week than it is to make $1 million in a month. And it's easier to make $1 million in a day than it is to make $1 million in a week. And it's easier to make $1 million in an hour than it is to make $1 million in a day. And I know for sure because I've done all of those multiple times.
Yep.
So I'm not talking from theory. I'm not regurgitating something I read in a book or heard at a seminar. This is how I live my life. Okay, so how can I prove to you that it's easier to make a lot of money in a short period of time than it is to make a little money over a long period of time? Well, here's how I can prove it. because I was talking to a physicist. In fact, I was flying from San Diego, California to Baltimore, Maryland. This was many, many years ago. And this young kid, I say young kid, he's 27. So to me, he was young, right? Because I was in my 40s then, right? And so he sat down beside me. I said, so what do you do for a living? He said, I'm a physicist. I said, I love physics. The only thing I could think of to say. And so we talked about physics from San Diego to Baltimore for like 4.5 hours. We talked about physics. And one of the questions I asked him, I said, and his name was Austin, and he lives in Boston. So I always remembered him, Austin from Boston, the physicist, right? So I said, Austin from Boston, I got a question for you. What is your favorite physics principle? Like, what would you ask a physicist if you sat down? I mean, surely that would be one of the questions, right? So I said, what's your favorite physics principle? He said this. He said that all principles are microcosms of each other. I said, ooh, that's so good. Ooh, that's so good. I said, but so I don't mess it up. I think I know what you mean when you say that, but you tell me what you mean so that when I share with other people what you said, I won't tell them my interpretation of what you mean, but your interpretation. He said, okay. He said, if you take a principle from any arena and you put it in a different arena, it still has to be true. I said, ooh, that's so good. And he said, like, if you take a principle that works in transportation and you apply it to finance, it still has to be true. I like, okay, that makes sense. And so from that day forward, I've been thinking about every time I find a principle, I wonder what other arena this can go in. I read a book called Innovation Secrets of Steve Jobs by Carmine Gallo.
Now, it's important here before he goes into this, just because he goes off on tangents on this, but he was talking about physics and the principles from one area can apply to the next one. The big thing that I want you to stick with me on for the next few minutes is that he's going to talk about vehicles of speed. And then I'm going to break down when he's done with that on how I would recommend applying that, like literally how that translates. He goes further into that in the video, but we're not going to watch the full thing tonight.
And he said, and the book was a great book, he said, the reason Steve Jobs was able to change the world, in fact, Steve Jobs is the only entrepreneur I can think of that revolutionized 5 different industries in his lifetime, which is kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. He revolutionized the computer industry, he revolutionized the phone industry, he revolutionized the music industry, the movie industry, and the tablet industry. Revolutionized them.
Okay.
Like totally turned them on their heads. And Carmine Gallo said the reason he was able to do that is because he had so many unique, broad experiences that he could see the connection between seemingly unrelated things. So when he looked at his computer and he saw the ugly green blinking font on a dark background on a computer screen, he said, these fonts are ugly. But he took a calligraphy class when he was in college. He said, why don't we make fonts beautiful? And it's that kind of connection that changed everything for him. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to prove to you it's easier to make a lot of money in a short period of time than it is to make a little money over a long period of time. Do we have any athletes in here who run? Any runners? Okay, so Tim, you run. Do you ever run a mile?
Here we go.
Rule number 3,
Here we go.
you can't get rich slow.
Can't
When
get
I
rich.
owned 100 houses, I made
This guy is really interesting too.
So Tim sometimes runs a mile. Great. So can you run a mile right now? Could you run a mile right now if you need to? Okay. So I can't run a mile. I had polio as an infant. I got a brace on my leg. I've never run anywhere in my life. As I like to say, I couldn't run, so I learned how to fight, right? So if Tim and I got in a race, how many of y'all would agree that it wouldn't be fair for us to both go the same distance? How many of y'all would agree with that, right? That's not fair. Like, I can't run, he can run. Obviously, he's going to like just murderalize me. And so let's go 2 different distances. I'm going to go 2 miles. You're going to run a mile. Uh-oh, did I say it backwards? My dyslexia kicked in again. Yeah, I didn't want to do that. By the way, I'm a directional dyslexic. If I go somewhere, I'll go the wrong way going back to where I came from 9 times out of 10. Okay. So anyway, don't judge me. Just pray for me. Okay. So I think I just said that backwards. Since I said it backwards and I'm a man of my word, I have to stick with my word. So now we're going to get in this race. And now not only am I going to lose because I can't run, but now I'm going farther. How many of y'all know I'm going to get like smeared, right? Wave at me. Talk to me, my peeps. Exactly. Everybody say unless Tim is running and I'm on a bicycle. because I said he's going to run a mile. I said I'm going to go 2 miles. I didn't say I was going to run 2
the
miles.
vehicle. Very important concept.
You say, I don't, what does this have to do with making money? Just pump the brakes. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
But that's not fair because I got a bike. By the way, I can ride a bike 2 miles faster than he can run 1 mile. I go farther, faster, and use less energy. So what do we learn from that principle? The people who are making way more money than you are not making more money than you because they're working harder than you. In fact, they're making more money than you because they're not working harder than you. Oh, snap.
Right.
But it gets better. Because that's not fair. I've got a bike. He doesn't have a bike. So we're going to give him a bike. And now I'm going to go 4 miles. He's going to go 2 miles. He's going to win again. Everybody say, unless. Unless I'm in a car. Maybe this is what they mean when they say think and grow rich.
Yeah.
But that's not fair. I've got a car. He has a bike. And so let's give Tim a car. So Tim's got a car. He goes 50 miles. I go 100 miles. Tim wins again. Everybody say unless. Unless I'm on a plane. But that's not fair. I've got a plane. He's got a car. Let's give him a plane. He goes 100 miles. I go 200 miles. He wins again. Everybody say unless. Unless I'm on a jet. Now you say, Myron, why do you keep doing this? I keep doing this because the principle is this. I can always make up and leverage what I lack in ability. It is always easier to make great strides than it is to make great advances, small advances. It's always, everybody say always. It's always easier to make great strides than it is to make small advances. But because you've been programmed by the cultural hypnotic societal mechanism and you spent the majority of your young life in the government indoctrination camps, AKA child prison, schools, whatever you want to call them. Since you spent most of your life in that arena, what happened was you were programmed to make small advances over a long period of time, and nobody ever taught you how to make great gains over a very short period of time. How many of y'all picking up what I'm putting down? Wave at me. And so what has to happen is if you're going to make great strides, you have to learn to think differently. I said I can always make up and leverage what I lack in ability. But here's why most people don't do that, because they don't understand that leveraged work is better than laborious work. Yes. Right? It produces more. It uses.
So I'm going to pause there for a second because I think this is where the rubber meets the road. And it just took him a little while to get there, right? So that's why I like watching these live because with you, because if leverage makes up what I can't make up in talent, labor, even funding or financing, but leverage is what can make it up. And the next question you got to ask yourself is like, well, and what are you talking about as far as leverage in when it comes to money and finances when I don't have a lot or I'm trying to grow the business, maybe I'm cash tight, whatever it might be. And so one of the biggest concepts that we teach, and Myron teaches as well. So I'm going to invite you to actually go check out the rest of that video you can see on his channel, Myron Golden. Make money faster is how he has it. The biggest thing that I think you really need to ask yourself is like, well, where are the leverage points? And so in the training we just did, posted up right here on YouTube, is the leverage points always comes to how do you turn what you do one-on-one to one-to-many? Okay, that's number one. It's a great principle, right? How do I turn what I do one-on-one? So if I'm with clients one-on-one on a daily basis, if I'm with prospects one-on-one on a daily basis, if I'm pitching and selling to my patients one-on-one on a daily basis. Like one of the things we help dentists do, we help our experts do this, is how do you take cold people that don't know you yet, and then how do we put leverage into play using technology, using AI, using your ability to communicate or recording your ability to communicate, and then turning that one-to-one conversation into a one-to-many conversation. It is one of the first forms of leverage that you can do in any business in order to accelerate your ability to reach more people. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is, where is there already flow happening in your business and or in your sales funnel, your marketing process? Where's the flow already happening? And so what do you mean by flow, Ed? Like, well, Amazon's a great example of something that already has the customers, okay? So if Amazon already has customers and I'm able to put a product in that ecosystem, they already have the sales flow. This applies in local businesses, and I'll tell you where that is in a second. Well, I'll give you a good example. Today we have the kids. We were getting gas. We're in a 7-Eleven. We go in, use the restroom, grab waters and a couple snacks, and up by up by where you could actually buy stuff at the checkout is like a lighter, like one of those lighters, you know, like that people either start fires with or smoke some funny stuff with. And it's the wrap around it is a Cheetos, flaming hot Cheetos wrap. Like that's what it was co-branded with it. Well, what do they figure out? They figure out, oh, people have the munchies when they're firing up a bowl, I guess. And so we're gonna co-brand with the lighter brand. Kind of crazy, but it's accurate and it's true. You know, like I was thinking about my clients, a lot of my dental clients. Where's there already a natural flow of potential people that have the money to afford dental implants? Well, they're at country clubs. They're at the different senior communities. They're at the different luxury communities. And so all of those places, you can go find ways to advertise and promote your stuff there. Now, we love utilizing internet. Why? Because the internet there's never been a faster way to use Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, X, all these things to go out and reach people with our message and our content, kind of like what we're doing right now on this video. Like there's people watching this and there will be hundreds of people watching this over the next couple of days. Hopefully over the next couple of months, we'll get thousands of people, right? But the platforms now are giving you leverage. Possibly if you don't have money to pay for advertising, possibly if you have a limited budget, you can do all these things to reach more people. So the work and the cost is done on the content side, right? Which means we got to learn maybe a new skill, maybe it's a new thing. But the fact of the matter is, in Myron, by saying that you can make more money in 1 month than you can in 12 months, or you can make more in 3 months than you do in 12 months, whatever that might be. If you're able to learn the leverage skill sets and acquire the technology to do that, it's never been less expensive, guys. AI, voice AI, internet syndication, this little software that I'm using right now, StreamYard, to get the message out, can cost less than $70-something a month. For us to post it, we do use a tool to post it across all 5 platforms, but it's not expensive. I think you can get the whole thing for $97. I'll post it in one of the comments. And that's only one piece of a big puzzle, or the tool does a ton of other things too. It's never been cheaper to do this and reach more people and have the leverage. Okay, so this is all about leverage. So Myron continues in his video to talk about the 4 levels of income producing assets and how you can do that, how to get a pay raise on that by thinking that way. So I highly recommend you go check that out. If you like what we talked about today, obviously I invite you to see the other videos. We just posted one that's gaining a lot of traction on money to track to speed, where I go a little more in depth into how to structure your webinars, and I highly recommend that. And then also our book, Time Collapsing, it's on Amazon. We relaunched it. It's getting a lot of good reviews and stuff like that. The New Art of Speed, Money, Power, and Meaning. But leave a comment. Let me know if you like this. If you like this interactive format with me and Myron, and then I have like a list of other people that I listen to weekly who I love listening to. And so if you want my opinions for the first 15 minutes, or I take the most viral clips, stick them in these videos, just give me a comment, thumbs up, let me know you like it, and I'll do more of it. So this is Ed O'Keefe. Appreciate you watching. And if you want more like this, just click like, subscribe, or whatever else they're asking you to do on whichever platform you're watching this. Okay. Thanks, guys. Have an amazing day. Bye.